10th in points. He has won this race before, one of his 17 career Cup wins in the 31 Richard Childress car. Nice to have you stop by and say, you look like you're focused, that focused face. You're waiting out the rain. You're a little annoyed with this weather?
It's my waiting face. It's like everybody else's face today.
But, Chris, don't you think if he put cool up there, cool cat?
I don't think so.
No, it'd be a lot of pressure. I know it'd be a lot of pressure, but I think it'd be really cool.
Well, Caterpillar, you got to give the sponsor the love, right? That's what you have to do.
Well, yeah, I think Daryl's trying to work a different angle.
Well, I just don't know if
the only thing Caterpillar doesn't make is a dryer for a race car.
Well, there you go. If we had that, and you may need that. What's your best guess here? Are you waiting like everyone else here? They announced the drivers. We thought we were going any moment now. It looks like there's some rain in the area moving through.
Yeah, there's still a little bit. I think that might be moving through. It's kind of a question. It shows up on somebody's radar and somebody's it doesn't. So Mother Nature will decide if it hits the ground or not, I guess, and we'll see. We'll go when we can go. That's the bottom line.
I think you've got we were talking about, Cat. You've got the perfect sponsor for you. You're an outdoors guy. You like to get out and work with some
moving dirt,
move some dirt with some equipment. How seamless has the transition been from racing with Tony now over to Richards?
It was an entirely new family, an entirely new situation for me because I came to an organization that was existing. When we started at Penske, or at least when I started at Penske, it was really just a group of 5 or 6 of us that started with an ARCA team and grew it into what was then a Busch team, and then a nationwide team and a Cup team. So then when I moved to Stewart-Haas, it was a new organization, so everybody was new. There was people from this organization, that organization, everybody was put together. Now I am the new guy. There's a couple other new guys on the team, don't get me wrong, but I am the new guy in the seat, and it's been pretty seamless. We've had some really good performing.
Solid early in the season.
Had some bad luck, which I guess you could say a lot of guys have had bad luck, but we've been performing much better than we've finished, and we're still sitting 10th in points.
A lot of people pay Luke Lambert, your crew chief. They say he's a pretty smart kid. Is your chemistry? Are you working good together? Is that coming together for you?
Well, we're sitting 10th in points, so it's good.
Not bad.
It's everything could be better. I'm learning a lot of new things, not necessarily about Luke, but all the guys, and working with all the parts of the race car, and making sure that we're capitalizing. It's so this year with the new package, with stiffer springs, different a lot of different things that really kind of open your eyes to the things that we used to do with, like last year with this car. They're a lot different this year, so we're working on it.
I tell you, we've had the best time watching you boys race. I mean, the racing this year has been better than ever because of what you talked about. The rule changes seem to make these cars a lot more fun to drive. Are you having fun out there?
I think they're definitely better in dirtier air, in traffic. I mean, we're still going so fast that the front cars are always going to have an advantage of sorts. But in general, yeah, the cars and the way they drive is probably the best that they've been with respect to the dirty air, the aero push, and all that stuff. The cars stay pretty neutral. You're going to get just less downforce when you get back in the back.
Brian, you talked about settling in with Richard Childress Racing. We have the young guy. You said you're the new guy. He's also new. He's a young guy, Austin Dillon, that 3 car. In fact, he's hooked up with us, listening in on the conversation. Austin, how's Ryan for advice? Does he give you any pointers, or does he just get in the way sometimes?
No, Ryan's been great, man. I feel like looking at our data, we're really similar as far as driving style, and I can go to him for information. He's been very helpful, and I couldn't ask for a better guy to help me up my rookie year in the Cup Series. Yeah,
Ryan, how about with him in the 3? Did you feel some of that pressure, too, having a teammate like that try to help him along and get him going early?
Austin is so experienced. And if
right around the bottom. So we'll see what we have to do and try and make it work.
Hey, Austin, I was going to get in that 3-car one time when Dale wasn't feeling real well, and Childress called Dale and told him I was standing by if he needed me, and Dale said, I feel much better now. How did it feel having your brother get in your car yesterday and take it out for a few laps?
I definitely felt better faster, for sure. I really didn't think he could fit in my seat. That's what surprised me. I was like, there's no way he can fit in my seat. He's not going to be able to get in. And sure enough, his big butt got in there and fit right in. I was surprised. He made it happen pretty quick.
All right. Well, thanks, Austin. Glad you're feeling better, and hopefully we'll get rolling here. All right. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Nice to see him without the cowboy hat for a change. Just a little bit of a...
Ryan, how do you communicate with another driver? Not Austin, but how do you communicate with another driver? If a driver comes to you and says, I'm having trouble here at Texas. I don't get around this track well. How do you communicate with that driver, try to help him?
Really, it's so different now than even a few years ago with the EFI data that we have. We can actually look at the steering, the brake pressure, and the throttle and speed at the same time and see where somebody's putting wheel to it and where you're on the gas and where you might be a little bit tight, where you're on the gas and not carrying the speed and things like that. So you can look at that data and you understand what you're doing, you can compare it to what another driver is doing and really make a difference. So it's a totally different tool. It's something that we've never had in the past, and it makes a big difference. I
know you have you're starting 8th, which I think is your best starting position this year. 51 career poles. Your thoughts on the new qualifying format?
Well, I'm a traditionalist. I really like when a driver goes out and races the racetrack, but I do definitely see the difference in the enthusiasm of the fans and seeing the multiple opportunities that we get to have the drama, I guess you could say, that goes around bumping your way in or bumping somebody off the pole with multiple runs. So every racetrack, it seems like, is so much different. California was different. Martinsville was different. We get to so many more racetracks, in the next few weeks. We might see something we haven't even seen yet.
It seems like when you go out to make a single car run by yourself, the old qualifying format, a lot of you're nervous, uptight, got to make that lap, got to hit that lap. Do you feel that kind of pressure with this new format? Because it seems like the drivers seem a little bit more relaxed about qualifying than they have in the past.
Well, I think you get more opportunities is the biggest thing. As a driver, it's nice to have those opportunities, but when you're P1 after one run, you wish you didn't. That's what it kind of comes down to, and that's where maybe the intensity was a little bit different with the old traditional qualifying, where you knew that was either 1 or 2 laps you were going to get, and that's what you had to do, and that was the end of your day. That was the end of qualifying.
Well, what's it like having to go out there and cut that lap on tires that have 4 or 5 laps on them? You've never had to do that before. When it was time to go, you had the best tires possible. Now you're having to make sacrifices.
Yeah, it's to me, we were talking about it, Austin and I were talking about it, and actually Ty as well, but it's kind of like dirt track racing, whereas the race track goes along, it dries up a little bit, and you kind of have to back your corner up and change the way you drive because the grip goes away, and we've all somewhere along our lines typically have done some dirt track racing and felt those changes, and it's just a good analogy for what you really have to go through as qualifying goes through, where the track and the tires are falling off.
Oh, dirt track racer got the pole yesterday too. Might be onto something there.
He might be best to talk to for that.
Yeah. There has been much discussion about tires. What about the engines this year, the wear and tear in a race like this, especially at the speeds that you guys are going, over 205?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is our first 500-mile race this year, right?
It is. Yeah.
So it's definitely something where durability is going to be an issue. We've seen a couple engine failures at different racetracks, but we're really hauling the mail here. It's really fast. I mean, we're 27:20 or whatever it was in qualifying was Harvick's run.
27:23, 198.
Yeah,
and different from the Daytona 500 because it's a restricted.
Yeah, it's a restricted race here.
The difference here is we're 9,000 coming off the corner RPM, and it's really fast. And
can you explain what that feels like? I mean, that you still probably are in awe at what that engine's doing when you're doing that.
It's singing. That's what I call it. It's singing. I mean, it's screaming, and that's where the durability comes in. Those guys do an awesome job with the ECR engines and everything that we do to make them drive good and race good, but then you have to be there at the end to make it all worth it. So